Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Hangout podcast. Can you believe we are wrapping up? Well, in the end of this month, we're wrapping up season, I think, seven.
Wow,
7 years,
seven.
Sailynn. Okay, now I've got a really great gal on. It is Sailynn, like sailing the ocean, all the way from the Florida area. And this is the second time that Sailynn has been on one of my programs. And so I'm really, really glad to have you back.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate the opportunity. I can't believe how long we've been connected, and congratulations, 7 seasons of the
I know.
podcast. That's
it,
amazing.
it's crazy because, think about it. And I think you and I were on one of my entrepreneur hangouts when I was doing monthly events. We did a workshop together, and I'm going to say it was still right after COVID, but not too far after COVID.
Yeah, that's my memory too. I don't have it like exactly, but I remember it being after COVID because everyone was working virtually.
Yep, yep. But we were still meeting because I still did some live events, and so that was kind of fun. So that is awesome. That is awesome. So tell us what you're up to.
Well, thank you so much. So, I'm a business coach for women entrepreneurs, and I focus on helping women integrate the four core pillars that every successful business needs into their business. We kind of go in, we rip off all that duct tape and those band aids, and we rebuild their foundation. And what I'm currently working on is getting ready for our quarterly strategic planning workshop. So on December 18th, I am inviting women entrepreneurs, no matter where you are in your business, in order to join me virtually for 3 hours. And we are going to plan out your Q1. So you know exactly what to do daily, weekly, monthly for the entire quarter. So there's no more guessing or winging it. So that's what I'm working on right now.
I like it. I like it. So tell me, the planning part of it is because, you and I do similar things, but different at the same time. Of course, everybody does everything differently, y'all. So there is no real actual competition because you are you and sailing. And it's like, you know what? Who's the best you but you? So
Exactly.
I know. Now, I like the planning aspect. Do you feel that people are like, oh my gosh, it's December. I have nothing planned for, the next month that's coming up, which is coming up sooner than you think.
Mhm.
That, like, okay, I've got to be able to do it now. December probably is a really good month to do that. Is that right?
Yeah, December is kind of like the best month if you haven't done it yet, right? So the further you get into your business, the bigger you build, the more runway you need. So I've been planning my Q1 since October. But if you haven't planned out your Q1 yet, December is definitely the month. And it's a great time because you have a year of data, right? If you've been in business longer than a year, and you can take all of that information and you can crunch those metrics and really get a plan for what you want to do in 2026 based on the metrics that you have from this year.
I like it. I like it. So, do you find that people like right now with me, I am I do actually my coaching with my alumni group in just about, 2 hours from now. Usually every 5:30 on Tuesdays. And for me, I'm like this. I'm preaching, you know what? Let's figure out what did not work, what you want to change. It's not that it didn't work, but where are you now? Where is your mindset? What do you want to accomplish? What didn't work so well last year? Let's fix it so that you are really on fire this year or 2026.
Yeah. So I have a framework called the 3D evaluation framework. And this is something that I use with all of my clients, but it's also something that we use in the Planning for Profit workshop, which allows you to one, determine what went really, really well that you want to double down on, right? So
Yeah.
we review the quarter or the year. And it's like, let's dig into that more. And then the second D is, what do you want to further develop? Right. So, like, as you said, like, what went well, but could go so much better, or maybe
Mhm.
has some potential if we further developed it. And then the third D, I personally think is the most important, which is ditch, right? So this is really looking at what you did during the previous time frame and
Mhm.
determining what didn't work and
Right.
granting yourself the permission to let it go, right? Like channel Elsa and let it go. Because I think we hold on to things for so much longer than we really need to out of obligation. And a lot of times when I first start working with women, I have them do this practice in the first couple weeks and they say like, why was I even still doing this? And I'm like, I don't know, you tell me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is needing permission to let it go.
I think women, well, first of all, women and men have totally different mindsets, totally different. Everything is different, right? Obviously, that's beside the obvious. But but um women take a little bit more time because I think that we always are second guessing ourselves. We are multitasking. We're taking care of family. We're taking care of ourselves. We're taking care of our business. And we were raised differently. I don't care how old you are, we're raised differently. So women handle it different. So now this is hilarious. Maybe we should have talked about this before we went live because I also have like a 3D type of thing. It is
Oh, I love
not
that.
3Ds. It is hilarious. So mine is drill down, dive in, and do it.
I love
And
it.
and um and it's like, you and I are not like, I don't think mushy, coaches where it's like, wow, how can I coddle you? How can I just, no, you've got to figure out how we can help, how I can help you, how you can help, drill down to what is working for you, what's not, pick up your big girl panties and make it work. So how can we do that? And that's really where we're all about. Um, so, okay, now you've got this on the 18th of this month, right?
Correct.
Okay, obviously it's virtual. And you guys, you don't have to try to remember this. We're going to be putting it in the show notes so that you can sign up for Salynn's event for planning and kind of getting your ducks in a row for 2026.
Mhm.
So, how many years have you been doing this?
Well, so that's a great question. I actually started doing this back in 2012. So I hit my first million in 2010, but instead of celebrating, I was sobbing in my car crying because I had been working 80-hour weeks for the previous 3 years. And I spent the next 2 years really fine tuning, rebuilding that foundation in business. And in 2012, I owned a franchise. One of my neighboring franchise owners called and said, hey, let's get together with myself, you, and another owner and start meeting quarterly. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, well, this is going to be fun. But it totally changed the way that I thought about business, that I did business, that I planned. I mean, just everything. This owner that invited me was 2 years further along in her business. And she was just such an amazing mentor to me. And so we really started digging into our metrics. And so we did that as a small group for the 5 years I had the franchise. And then I've been doing it since I sold in
Nice.
2017. And it really is. I've been working in 90-day increments my entire career. And this just really solidified all the stuff that I had in my head and really kind of put it on paper, right? Because, like, your head is great, but getting it on paper is much more actionable.
Well, it's not only actionable, it actually holds you accountable as well. Where you can say, all right, I'm going to say this is what worked, this does not work, this is what I'm going to change. I want to be able to have accountability. And, that's part of coaching and part of mentoring. That's what we do is hold people accountable, plus push them forward with their goals and stuff. So, what do you think, Sailynn? What do you think is the top, let's just say, three things in the time period that we've got? What do you think is the top three things that people realize that they either need to change or work on when it's coming time. Here it is, December. What am I going to do to make my 2026 better? What's those
Well,
three things that you find?
I 2025 has been the year that 90% of the women I talk to are looking for clarity in their
Hmm.
business, right?
Mhm.
So what got you to six figures isn't going to get you to seven. And that's what I try and help women do is get to the $1 million mark because only
Yep.
2% of women entrepreneurs will hit a million. And I personally think that's crap because there's no secret to get there.
Hmm.
And so I would say the first thing that you need to do is before year end is get clarity. You get clarity now so you can launch solid in January. So spend December figuring it out, whatever it is. If you need help, reach out to Kylie or myself and, figure that out before year end. The second thing I think really is to be honest with where you are. I
Hmm.
love when I have calls with future clients and they say, like, oh, I have systems. And then the conversation continues. And based upon what they say, it's very evident that they don't. And one of my best clients I've ever had was like, oh, I have systems, I have SOPs, like everything's perfect. And then one of her team members left. And all
Mm.
of a sudden, she realized that she might have had them like in a binder, but no one was using them. So they
Right.
were inefficient, they were out of date, they weren't being used. So really be honest with yourself and it's not like a judgment thing, right? Like it's not good or bad. It's just an honest evaluation of your business. Like, do you have the systems in place? And then I would say the third thing is depending upon where you are in business, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you maybe have a VA or an agency that you work with, really plan in 2026 to get more aligned help. I personally love using virtual assistants and I teach my clients how to find and
Right.
onboard amazing virtual assistants because you can have someone do like 5 hours a week in their zone of genius. Maybe that's social media, and then have someone else
Hmm.
in their zone of genius maybe do creative things for you for another 5 hours a week. Like
Outreach or
you can
something. Yeah.
have this really dynamic team that works together cohesively but everyone's working in their zone of genius because in my opinion being a Jack or Jill of all trades nowadays, like it's just not
Mm.
efficient, right?
Yeah.
Like if it takes me twice the time to figure something out as it would take someone else who's in their zone of genius, like why would I waste that, right? Why wouldn't
Right.
I pay someone who's an expert in that? So that's what I would say the three things really are is one, if you've said this year, if I could just get clarity on, then I could, right? Get that clarity by year end. Like that's like a must. So that way you can get your plan for 2026. Second thing, do an honest review of your systems. Like, what are you doing manually? What could technology or tools do for you? What are you micromanaging? Those different kinds of things. And then really look at third, how you can expand your support team and really set yourself free.
Mm.
When you have those three things in place, then you're going to set yourself up in 2026 for a really solid business growth without the long nights, early mornings, weekend catch ups, time frames. Those are the kind of things that I would say to focus on.
I totally agree. And it's, you know what? I think that people, men, women, both, it's like this. Whether you've got a team or whether you think you can do it on your own, I highly encourage having a team. I've always had a team. I've always called it a team. I'm not a we person. I'm not an I person. I'm a we person, and it's those that that actually help you. And we've got people in our coaching programs and our mentoring programs that think that it's all about you. Sailynn, you can do this, you can do this. And Kylie, you can do this. I'm like, no, 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 I don't do that. I have a team. That's what I do, right?
Yeah.
So we've got high level thinking, and we've got the, thank God, and I'm so fortunate to the people that actually can do the things. And
Yes.
it's like I like the zone of genius, and maybe there's going to be a new word for 2026, whatever that word is. But you know what, you guys, get out there and figure out what your zone of genius is and do it.
Yep.
And leave the rest alone. I'm not a bookkeeper. I'm like, and for example, don't send me a long email that's like 2 pages. I'm not going to read it, right? So I like things that are short and sweet, that are effective, that are productive, and that's kind of how I like to be able to work. So where are you at in this year where you can excel for the 2026?
Exactly. And I agree with you. And I think we've just been trained as women and programmed by society that we should be able to do everything, handle everything, figure everything out. And we don't have to,
Right.
right? Like, you can literally build a team of experts who they're all doing what they need to do. And while a lot of people think that may be intimidating to manage multiple people, when you recruit, hire, and onboard the right way,
Mm,
then they're going to work and they're going to handle things before you even realize that they were, you know what I mean? There was a problem. And so I'm the same way. I received the best piece of advice before I bought my franchise. They had us call other franchisors. And the owner of the Rhode Island office said to me, his best piece of advice was to delegate everything that you don't love to do or you're not
yeah.
good at. I took that kind of to the extreme and
Yeah.
delegated everything. And that's how I literally ran a multi-million-dollar business, 16-hour weeks. And it's because I delegated everything I wasn't good at and or didn't enjoy, even if I
Yeah.
was good at it. And it allows you to do what you love, which then you stay passionate about your business, right? And you don't feel like, why am I feeling yucky about, having to go do the work today?
Yeah, 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 yeah. The other thing too is, and my dog is talking to me, sorry, y'all. Um, the other thing that happens, I think, now is like I've got a couple of clients that I'm working with. I do a lot of business development and some various things. And what happens is sometimes that there is a team but you don't have your systems in place as to like I'm going to use an event, right? So you've got an event that you're doing, you're using Eventbrite, you think that there's going to be all of these things in place, but that other person left 5 years ago, so you can't get into your LinkedIn or you can't get into your LinkedIn, you can't get into your Eventbrite. Those are real issues, y'all.
Yeah.
It's this tiny little thing, but don't that those are the things that maybe perhaps you want to look at for the next year of 2026. Like you're feeling it, all that struggle, that harsh, that like I can't even function because of these tiny little things keep getting in the way. So stop and put those SOPs together. Stop and say, where is it that I'm not bringing in the money because I can't do this and that. I can't function because your team isn't functioning the way it should be. You're still driving the train. Your team is
Exactly.
behind you. You're driving the train.
Exactly. And you titled this From Five Jobs to Multi-Million-Dollar Entrepreneur. And those 5 jobs that I had after college before I became an entrepreneur were such good examples for me to learn the lessons that you were just talking about, right? Because I worked for dynamic corporations that had systems, and then I worked for other businesses that didn't. And I really saw how the dynamics were so different, the company culture, like everything based upon whether they had the back end infrastructure in place.
Hmm.
And so it was really, while it was really hard, on my time and money, it was such a learning benefit for me to see different types of corporations in different industries, be able to see like what worked really well for them and then bring that into entrepreneurship. So
I love it. Love it. All right. So now on the 18th, how many hours is the workshop?
the workshop is 12 to 3 p.m. So 3 hours, and that's
Hmm.
Eastern time. And anyone who attends the workshop will get their workbook. There's also going to be a custom GPT to help you implement it. And you will leave the workshop with your Q1 entirely planned out. So
Great.
this isn't, theory. It's not just teaching. This is an interactive workshop where we're literally going to walk step by step by step. So at 3 p.m. when we're done, you're like, I have it all mapped out and now I just can execute. I can enjoy the rest of the year, the holidays, and I can
Right.
go into January 1st like so confident.
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. So the link to Sailyn's workshop will be in the show notes, and we encourage you to be able to do this. That way, that is a Friday. I happen to know I'm going to be traveling on the way to Arizona, but I think it's amazing. I look forward to learning about who showed up, what they learned, and just looking at their trajectory for the next year and just really like, whew, I got it all done. That
Yep.
in itself is just an amazing task.
And that really, I think, is probably the overarching feeling that everyone feels is just that sense of relief that
Yep.
it's done in 3
Yes.
hours and it's not something that you have to come back and work on later.
I like it. I love it. All right, you guys. So we're going to say bye for now. I do my Entrepreneurs Hangout podcast every Wednesday at 4 EST. Now, this was a special one because we had a little bit of a boo boo the last time. But if you want to be a guest on the show, please hit me up. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So we're all over the place, and I look forward to bringing entrepreneurs to your screen to learn from. And so I'm going to say bye for now.